Okay, my name is Betty Anderson, formerly known as Betty Gray for many years, and I was originally born in Boston, Mass, and did quite a lot of traveling. So, how did I end up here? My past husband was in the military Air Force, and we got stationed at Edwards Air Force Base, and then transferred down here to LAX. So that's how I got here to Gardena. We got some people coming through too.
Had you ever been here before?
Hi, Betty.
No, so, my first visit to California was when we stationed at Edwards in '76. And so we were there for about 15 months, and then we got transferred to the LAX. They have on El Segundo, they have an Air Force station there. So then I had to go look for a job. And when I went to the unemployment office to apply for unemployment, they said, no, you don't have enough reason for coming to California here to look for work. So I saw an ad in the paper for Barry's Cocktail Lounges here in Gardena, which was located at 800, around 800 down here on Gardena Boulevard. So that was my first job here.
What did you do there?
I was a bartender. I actually went in, Blanche Moretti was the owner, she and her husband, and I went to work for vacations. So I worked a couple of weeks down there. So that's how I became on the Boulevard. And then subsequently I worked part-time up here at the Desert Room. And Ron Wentworth had the bar at the time, and I was introduced to him. And so that's how I got to the Desert Room, starting working here as a bartender part-time.
How long's the Desert Room been here?
Well, it's been called the Desert Room since 1947. Before that, it was Daniels Malt Shop, and they had beer and wine in their restaurant area. But until after the war, they were allowed to serve alcohol. So in 1947, they called it Daniels Cafe and the Desert Room. But the building's been here since 1905. I know that a lot of the people met here. We have an upstairs, and it was a meeting hall for like the American Legion ladies. St. Anthony's held mass up there while their building was being built prior to 1910. The Odd Fellows, the Masonic Lodge, and a lot of the people met upstairs. It had a big stage and everything. And then it evolved into when the Daniels Cafe stopped serving food, probably the late 50s. And then it just became the Desert Room Cocktail Lounge, and that's the way it's been since then. And it changes from having a lot of the older lunch crowds, older guys that worked coming in for lunch, and after work to slow nights, to turning into slow day trade and more of a night trade with the younger 30-ish group. But about every 7 years it changes. The customers get a little older, and the night people get a little younger, so the ages just keep going. But we basically have an older bar group, 30 and up. So we don't have a real young crowd here, and it just keeps evolving. They say it's like home. So, and currently I've been here. The latest one is I've been here 27 years. So, and I still love it. This is where we live.
Do you know a lot about when it was Daniels at that time?
No, I have a menu that when it was Daniels, and they had quite a extensive menu. They served regular meals. And a lot of the people I talked to talked about it when they were going to school. They'd come by for malts. And once a month, they let the kids come in for the free ice cream. They used to have these big not wooden, but cardboard tubs for ice cream. And so once a month, when it got down to the dredges, they'd let the young school kids come in and have the free ice cream. So every day they'd stop by to see if today's the day. So that was one of the things they did. And it was a good meeting place, I think, for a lot of the young people. Well, when I first came to the Boulevard and I went for my interview, they either had a storm or something, so the streets were like the wind had blown all the papers and trees were down and stuff, and it looked like a disaster. And I thought, I had misgivings about going to my interview thinking, oh, what am I going into, you know, because it looked a little rough at that time. But I had already made the appointment, so I went ahead in and got my job. So that's how but I've never, here on the Boulevard, it's like a small town. And since the 70s, I've been working on the Boulevard, and it's I love it. It's great. You know, I didn't think I'd been traveling a lot, so I didn't think of it as being rough or anything. It was just unique. You know, so subsequently, maybe you hear people say, well, weren't you in the rough area of town? And I thought, well, no, I've never known it to be a rough area of town because that's where you're at. You know, you live where you're at.